Hello.
And we've started the journey. We're heading off to Cape Tribulation. And this is Max erecting our home. Oh, sorry. Looks easy. Did in the video anyway. Oh,
That didn't work.
that didn't look right.
I think there might be something holding it together.
Yeah, take two. Note to self, undo all the latches before attempting to pop up your tent.
Or am I just really strong?
I'm impressed. Ange, are you impressed?
I need your help now. Because this needs to go inside this bit.
Alright, coming back to filming later. Oh, that's good. We are almost in the final stages. Max is just having a few problems. What's happening, Max?
The mallet doesn't want to come camping with us.
Mallets can be like that. Ooh, I've got a bit of a weird thing happening with the awning there. Oops, chase the mallet.
This tree is called yellow pender. It's ancestral to the entire dynasty of eucalypts. Australia has 770 different species of eucalyptus, all of them traced back to this single common origin. And the same can be said about every species of native plant and animal in Australia that traces back to its ancestral stock here in the Cooper Valley. Is at the centre of the last fragment of a forest that once covered not only all of Australia, but more than half the land surface of the world, including all of Africa, Madagascar, South America, Sri Lanka, India, New Zealand, New Caledonia and Antarctica. And that colossal Gondwanan rainforest, which covered more than half the land surface of the world, progressively retracted as the global climate became cooler and drier through the breakup of the supercontinents and the creation of circumpolar currents. And in its ever-diminishing representative area, about 19 million years ago, an incredible volcanic upheaval in what became northeastern Australia wiped out every last skerrick of Gondwanan rainforest, except for what Thornton Peak protected off its three valleys from volcanic runoff. So these three valleys, the only section of North Queensland, aren't volcanic, and through a series of good fortunes, this last fragment of an ancient rainforest continues to exist. This tree here would ultimately speciate into 770 different species of eucalyptus. They can live for 2,000 years. That one's a very healthy 1,000-year-old. And such is the significance of this particular patch of forest, my wife and I also got married here many years ago, so this is our wedding setting. And having made that decision, the memory of the wedding is henceforth reposited into this patch of forest. So my wife and I have the great privilege of getting to revisit our wedding setting every day, and added more and more human capital to the significance of the union as time goes by. When the children were born, they were inculcated into the ceremonial sanctity of this landscape. They used to sit on those roots over there to receive education and share storytelling. Their upbringing is reposited into this forest as a series of memories. I can look at any tree I go past and consider what any one of the three kids did at that tree at any stage during their life, and that helps to trigger memory, which is attached to the emotion of the memory. So it's a very pleasing place for a parent to spend their time immersed in the repository of the memory of the children's upbringing. But one day, as I came into my wedding setting, as I do on a daily basis, I was confronted by the atrocity of a fan palm having been killed by a pig in my wedding setting. It was a 100-year-old fan palm, like that one yonder way.
Oh, wow.
And a feature of the wedding setting, and there it was, destroyed on the bottom of the wedding setting, and there was nothing I could do to put it back. Okay, the desecration of the setting meant the memory of the wedding was henceforth inconsistent with the reality of the repository to the extent of the degradation. And this had a powerful impact on me in two dimensions. First of all, in an injurious effect, but also in clarifying my obligations as a landscape manager with respect to pigs. So whatever residue of lenience existed towards these pigs was annihilated. Of course, I was able to calm down quickly enough and realise the pig wouldn't have possibly known it across the line, that it was me that was different because of memory. And this made me think differently about Aboriginal memory. Even though I'd spent 7 years working in remote Aboriginal landscapes before coming here, I'd never thought of the natural environment as the repository of memory. I only ever thought that that was the human mind. But this desecration showed to me how the environment plays that part. And that meant that when Queensland took the Aboriginal people out of here on the 1st of January 1898, they left 70,000 years of memory. And it's still there today. It's just robbed of its human custodianship. And the best thing we could do as a country to restore ecological potential to these landscapes would be to reconnect the Aboriginal custodians to their memory, and they would be very pleased with their country if it did that. But no one's talking about this, so it's not happening. Even within the formality of native title, where it applies on protected areas, there's no notion of Aboriginal people being permitted to resume inhabitancy.
We're driving out of Daintree now. We've had an amazing couple of days. Have you had fun, Max?
Yep, had some fun.
What did you see? Don't look at me, just keep driving.
Well, we saw some lizards, and we didn't see the spiders because they were too well camouflaged.
There, yeah. Don't want to put your hand on a tree. Anyway, something.
I saw a giant stingray that I almost stepped in. I didn't tell you about that one.
No, you didn't. Did you seriously?
Yeah. When I was in the mangroves, I was taking photos in about a foot of water, and then the camera stopped working, so I picked up the camera and turned around. About 2 foot behind me was the stingray that I almost stepped on.
Good God.
About the size of an extra large pizza, about twice the size of the steering wheel, with its tail about 2 foot in length.
Oh my
And then I noped out and got out of those mangroves real quick.
You
Well, slowly and surely got out without stepping on anything. I've discovered why baby boomers get grey hair. It turns out that setting up a tent is very stressful, and you finish setting up the tent and come out and suddenly your hair's grey.
And especially when you're doing it in the rainforest.
In the rainforest, with the crocodiles, and more baby boomers around.
I was trying to help though. I was holding the umbrella over you as much as I could.
Yeah. I also discovered why Tarzan just wears a loincloth, because your clothes just get wet and cold. It's much more comfortable just walking around in board shorts. What else?
In the ancient rainforest, what do we see? Do you remember any of the names of those complicated trees that you told us about?
Some old people. I mean, you. I saw you, the ancient thing in the rainforest. We saw some real old trees, like 2,000-year-old trees. The part of the Daintree we went into, we didn't really know when we signed up. We went on this awesome tour with no boardwalks and no prime access and no people with walking sticks, Zimmer frames or anything. And we were in the oldest part of the Daintree. He was telling us that they say that the Daintree is like the oldest rainforest in the world. It's actually just quite a small section. The rest of the rainforest is less old, it's still old, but like the section we were in, there's just like 3 valleys that surrounded the place that we were in, and that's all the really old stuff. And apparently it's the most dangerous rainforest in the world. There's shitloads of stuff that's just trying to kill you. And you're saying that's because it's so old, everything's had time to develop all of these mechanisms of, it's like a cyanide tree that if you break its branch, it releases hydrogen cyanide. It can kill you. Like every single berry tries to kill you.
Oh, tell us about the fish one. That was good.
Oh yeah, there's like the native Aboriginals have to find a way to like utilize and eat things in the rainforest. So they had these really toxic, I think it was the plums. They look like plums.
Cassowary plums.
Cassowary plums. It sounds like cassowary shit, but it's not. It's a fruit named after the cassowary. And they it's super poisonous. You can't eat it. Like some cattle a while ago ate it and died. And they grind it up and make kind of like a chalky substance, and then they kind of wet it and turn it into like a milky kind of substance, and then they can pour that into the creek, and it paralyzes the fish or knocks them unconscious or something. So they all float to the top, and they catch the fish and eat them. And then any fish that were in there that they didn't eat or didn't need because they had enough. After a while, the toxin wears off and they unparalyze and go back to swimming.
Brilliant.
And the snake was really cool. The story, we didn't see a snake, but the guy's story. So, it turns out that the flying foxes they have up here, they recently discovered through their genesis that their closest living relative is the lemurs in Madagascar, which makes them primates. The flying foxes are actually primates, which means that Batman is totally like legit. Batman is actually the most realistic superhero in existence. But that means that the pheromones that the flying foxes, they're called speckled eye flying foxes or something.
Spectacle-eyed.
Spectacle-eyed ones, because they wear spectacles, they've got terrible eyesight, and it's hard for them to read.
They've got little blonde circles around their eyes.
So it's like raccoons. So the pheromones they release, they get the snakes they like the smell of their pheromones. So when they're breeding, they have to have like a single tree where there's nothing, no branches touching, so the snakes can't get to them, because snakes really like the pheromones that are released when they have babies. So the snakes are like super sensitive to the smell of baby foxes. They're not like the pheromones, and they always try and hunt them when they have babies. And so what the Aboriginals would do was they figured out, because the flying foxes are primates, the pheromones that they release are very, very similar to humans. So when the Aboriginals have babies, the snakes come and try and eat the babies. So they have to protect their babies, but they also make use of this fact. And when the snakes come, they hunt the snakes and eat the giant. It's normally saying it's like the biggest python in the area will come, and then they hunt them, and that's kind of how they can control the amount of snakes in the environment. At the moment, no one's doing that, so there's too many snakes, too many pythons.
In fact, Neil, the guide, was saying that it happened to his own children.
So that was what I was getting at. Next, Mum jumped the gun.
Sorry.
So it's like, yeah, I've heard of this story. The people that owned the property before him kind of said, if you have kids, be careful. He's like, yeah, whatever, that's not real. Anyway, so they had their baby and took it home, newborn baby, and then that night he came out and he'd never seen a python near his property, and there was the biggest python he's ever seen sitting on the front porch. And he was like, oh, well, that's pretty fun. So yeah, Neil had this brand new baby, suddenly there's a python closer than he's ever seen sitting out on his porch. And apparently then the real way to protect your baby is to kind of, the mum has to, or the dad I guess, just have the baby attached to them at all times. Because I don't know if you've ever had a snake in your life. Those guys are slippery suckers, and they can like just get in anywhere. They like go flat pretty much and go underneath like slits in doors. So you've got to sleep with the baby, you've got to have them strapped to your back the whole time, because the snake can't take on a full-size adult.
Even showering with them, they said.
Yeah, just like have to have them contact the entire time. And every night he'd go out and the snake was there, and after about 2 weeks, I guess the pheromones kind of wear off a bit and the snake just stopped coming. So that was kind of scary, because then you didn't know where the snake was. It could be anywhere. And then, you know, that could be a coincidence, except he had 2 more kids, and every single time it happened exactly the same way. The snake would turn up the first night they were there. And yeah, it just shows how powerful pheromones are and how closely we are actually related to Batman. I mean, primates, flying primates, whatever they are.
And he wasn't allowed to actually kill the snake because he's on a heritage protected property now.
I don't have a sign off, Mum. You need reporters to take years to come up with a sign off, or comedians. So
You can just say thank you, Mum, for an awesome holiday.
Thank you, Mum, for an awesome holiday. Tune in next time, because it's never happening again.